Hello, this is LPR Course Fishing and this is Tips on How to Win a Match Part 2. Right now, just a little reminder if you didn't see Part 2, in Part 1 of How to Win a Match. Carp over £4 in matches down Kinney Hill down here, they do not count, and then it's really rare to get a carp under £4 down here. So basically, the fish that will win you the match will be the tench, and if you can find the tench, whatever peg you're on, then you've got a good chance of winning the match. But the tips that we're giving you, we're going to be doing it for tench because they're reasonably easy to catch down here, and carp are extremely hard, and I'd highly doubt we'll get a carp today. So you can convert these tips into catching carp. So hopefully we give you some good tips and then you can understand them.
A 4 shot of 6s. The reason why I've used 4 is because rather than using say 2 number 4s again, is so I can be more precise at setting my float in the water.
Right, here I'm using a slightly bigger elastic. Here I'm using a size 14, and then I move down to my float. I especially like this float because it's got the change in colour from this kind of sparkly blue colour up into the orange, and I can see it really nicely on the water. I can see the change in colour, so I know how deep I am. So right now we're plummeting the depth. It's really important to plummet your depth in a match. It depends really how the tench like to feed. As you can see here, I need to move my float up a bit. Right now, as you saw just a minute ago, I need to move my float up just about an inch. About that. And now I'll put my plummet back out there and see what the depth is. Today I think I'll be fishing just laying just a little bit flat on the bottom. I think that's what the tench will like today. You can vary it, you can just be just off the bottom if the tench are feeding just slightly higher up. That seems about right.
Right, Bill's fishing off to the right now with a bit of sweet corn. He's just got down to the bottom, so hopefully he'll get a bite shortly. Oh, this will be a nice tench.
Should be. Go have a good fight. That'd be a good time. Oh.
Diving back down now.
It's really nice, quite a quick take on it. And keep out the weeds. I've been having a lot of bites down there. I've always had a nice one. I've had a lot of bites down there, but whenever I pull up there's been nothing on it, so I think it's potentially been playing me about for a bit. And I did hook something quite big earlier, as you saw. I'm not too sure what that was. It could have been a carp, but it's a decent temp.
Would have been a nice fish if it would have stayed on, but this is a nice tench.
Hand's a little bit sticky from jacking that strawberry glue. That's the one bad thing about it, I would say, is that it's very sticky on your hands. It's quite hard to shuffle your pole back.
That's netted, that's nice.
Really nice tench that. I'm hoping it could be pushing on £2. It felt like a really big tench. It's only my second one. I had a baby one earlier, and then I think that's just knocking on £2 that. Would you call that? Give me that one.
Yeah, it's £2, it's nice.
That's really nice, that one.
Alright, so now I'm going to mix up some ground bait. This is red ground bait. So what I'm going to do is add in a little bit of water at a time. But first, you're going to want a circular based container. This will allow your hand to move around it freely. You try avoiding using a square based container, as ground bait will get stuck in the corners and be unevenly mixed with the water. So just add little by little, because you can always add more water in, you can't really take it out. I'm just going to mix it round. You see how using a circular based container I can just mix it round ever so easily. I should be able to make a ball quite easily, so it's nice and hard, and then be able to crumble it if I need to. That's a good ground bait.
As you can see, when Rob puts it back in, if you just shake the bowl up, you can see you're getting all these big lumpy bits like this in the ground bait, and this is when you want to use a riddle, like so.
This is a bit of riddle, so you're just going to pour it onto it and then riddle it through.
Use your hand just to mix it in like that, and then you'll see all the nice particles will fall through freely, and all the bits that have just been stuck together. Rob can just riddle that through. That makes it really nice, light and fluffy. See, all these balls here are stuck together, and that'll be really annoying for the fish, because if you chuck that in with your ground bait, they won't be feeding on little bits, you'll be feeding them like big chunks, so they might overfeed certain fish really quickly. And as you can see in there, the ground bait is now really light and fluffy.
That makes it a lot more stickier as well. That's how to mix your ground bait.
When you're fishing for tench, it's important to be by the weed, because that's where they like to hide. As you can see around there, we've got a big clump of weed in here. Hopefully we should get some tench action in the next few minutes. Rob's just sticking to another tench. He just switch positions. We saw a lot of bubbles coming up. Oh, I think it's trapped in some weed as well, is it?
It's only a bit of loose weed.
He was just fishing just down there, and he just saw a lot of bubbles come up.
So I thought I'd have a little go.
We haven't really been fishing too long, but it's what you want to be doing in a match, catching constantly. Don't really want to stop. You want to try not to overfeed, really. Just keep trugging away, getting all the fish that you can, all these methods that you can turn into. If you are on a big carp fishery doing a match, you can turn these. You want to fish next to the margins, next to the weed to try and get the carp in. Use ground bait to try and get them in, fishing on the bottom, whatever. You can turn these into your own, the way that you do match fishing. Right, so here we're just going to, a little tip here is you want to bait up a little and often. You want to keep baiting up constantly with loads of bait, because you overfeed your swim and you won't get as many fish. So what you'll do is where you're fishing, just bait up, just little bits of sweet corn you might get. Rob's just sticking to a tench. We're waiting quite a while for our next bite. Slow down quite a lot now. And then the thing to do in a match is once your tench fishing slowed right down, you want to go for on the bottom for the bigger roach and the bigger rudd, and if you can perch and stuff like that.
That's a nice fish.
Or if you are fishing on a big carp fishery lake and the carp fishing stops, and you can go to the tench if you need to.
So what I've decided to do now is go on to a cupping kit, which is a more accurate way of feeding.
Basically, it goes like right on the end of your pole there. So normally you should be fishing with your end of your pole in line with your float. So all you do is twist upside down. You might need to give it a bit of a wiggle, and it should all plop out right on top of where your float is. Really, really accurate way of feeding. Just like that. As you can see there, it's just over £8 there. It's a decent day. We haven't really been down here long, but it's quite decent.